Surprise! Welcome back to another quick little video. So today we're going to be talking about Southwest Airlines. And so I am currently in Washington, D.C. I finally finished my 2-week excursion in California, back in D.C. Happy to be back because that was quite a while away from, the home base, for lack of a better word, going to embassy events and cultural events and just working in general. And so I'm back in Washington, D.C., and I wanted to make a quick video about Southwest Airlines because they are very different compared to other airlines that I've flown in the United States, compared to, for example, Spirit Airlines, Alaska Airlines, JetBlue. These are very different airlines, and Southwest was very different for a number of reasons that we'll get into, but that's the subject for today's video. And again, this is not I'm not bashing Southwest, I'm not praising them. It's more of an analysis, for lack of a better word, when it comes to my experience with Southwest Airlines, in case you're wondering whether or not to take them. Because you'll see them in Google Flights when you type up flying to Costa Rica, for example, and then it says Southwest. And I've always often wondered with Southwest, what the experience would be like. And overall, I'm happy to report that the experience with Southwest was very positive, because there's a number of factors that goes into my analysis, my quick analysis, because I don't want this video to be too long, and it's very cool. So with Southwest, what's different? And that's a great question. So the first thing that will be very weird to y'all, in case you've never flown with Southwest before, is the seating placement, or lack of one, which is interesting. So you know how you get a flight ticket, right? And it says your seat number and then your boarding group or something like that. So yeah, Southwest has what they call free seating or unassigned seating, where you don't get an actual seat number, but you still have a boarding group. So I think it's A, B, C, D, E, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you'll have a position, which is your kind of your rank. For example, there'll be boarding group A is currently getting on the flight, but you're A20. So when you're standing in line, you just find the sign that says okay, 15 through 35 for A. I'll be in A20, so I'm standing here, if that makes sense. So I was shocked because my first Southwest flight, I'm kind of walking to the gate, and then I'm asking the flight attendant or the person that's at the gate, the customer service lady, I was like, where is my seat? And the lady kind of looks at me and she's like, honey, is this your first time flying Southwest? And I was like, yeah, I can't see where my seat number is and it's giving me anxiety. And she's like, we don't do that here. I was like, y'all don't do seats? It's do we sit on the plane, the wing or whatever? She's like, nah, there's no assigned seating. It's free seating where you just choose based on how soon you enter the plane. Quite literally, that's what it is. So, for example, they always have military and elderly people and people with families, that type of thing, right? And then once you get to A, then that's typically the first normal group that boards the plane. So I was in B and C on the way to LAX, and I was kind of nervous because I like the aisle seat. I hate the window seat because I like to get up and stretch and walk, especially if it's long flights. Otherwise I get gnarly cramps, and also just to go to the bathroom, you know what I mean? And I really hate the middle seat. That is the worst seat imaginable, because if you want to go walk up and down or whatever, you have to step over the person, you have to disturb them. But if you're in the aisle seat, then you have to disturb people anyway when you get up, but less so. You get the idea. So I'm nervous, right? When I'm walking onto the plane, I'm just God, please give me an aisle seat. And then I'm walking through the plane and I see one and I just went for it. And then I looked around and I was like, is this okay? The flight attendant's like, yeah, that's cool. Do what you want. Just make sure you don't step on anybody. You know what I mean? So I was just shocked to see that Southwest was not doing any assigned seating whatsoever. And even when I was in the C group, which is I think the last one to board the plane, it obviously depends on your major flight path that you're taking. So if you're flying to a popular destination, the flights are always full, and the overhead bins are always full. But for example, the last flight on the way back to Reagan National Airport had no one in it. There was 60 people, and so had pretty much the whole plane to yourself, and the overhead bins were free. So that's the first big thing, is a lack of assigned seating. It's a free-for-all. It just honestly depends on when you can get on the plane, but we'll talk about ways you can circumvent that to get to the front. So the second thing is the two bags that are like free for like a check-in type of thing. So like I'm not talking about like your carry-on bag, it's like your luggage. So one of the reasons why Southwest is such a popular airline is because of the fact that they don't charge you per piece of luggage that you want to check in. So like if you're a heavy traveler and you have, let's say, like 3 suitcases, right? The first 2 are free, and the third, obviously, if you want to check that in, you gotta like pay for. So I was like shocked because like with every other airline, like for example, I think like JetBlue, Spirits, some other airlines as well, they charge you per piece of luggage, which just like you're already paying for the flight ticket, and the fact that you have to pay per piece of luggage that you want to check in, like it's an extra 50, which, you know, you do what you got to do. I understand that, but like it's just irritating, you know, like you spend that much money for a flight ticket and then you have to like pay for like your luggage that you check in. So Southwest, you check 2 bags for free, you know what I mean, like through the plane or whatever. Like you check them, you check your check-in bags, you know what I mean, like, but your carry-on, you just carry that on, like your backpack. So your 2 pieces of luggage, those are free, which I was just like, damn, okay, bet, say less. And then the third is a claim that they had on their website, or at least like I heard, and they said that they had, or no, is that Alaska Airlines? I was gonna say like, I thought they had like the largest like leg room in economy, but I think that's Alaska, so never mind that. So the 2 main points are the 2 bags that you can check in for free, and then the lack of assigned seating. And so overall, my experience was very positive with Southwest. The only issue was when I had to wait, I think, an extra hour or 2, like on the way back to DC. Like one of the flights was delayed, but that's not their fault. It's because there was a thunderstorm that was like going on, because it's summer over here, it's outrageously hot, and we have surprise summer thunderstorms just like you do in Europe and, you know, other parts of the US. So that wasn't their fault. Overall, it was a very positive experience. All the stewardesses and steward men, I guess if you want to refer to them as such, were very nice, very cordial. You know, you treat people with respect, they treat you with respect. That's how usually it works with people. And then the 2 bags that were for free, I only had 1, like, away luggage that you've probably seen me make a YouTube video about in the past. And I checked that in, no problem, didn't get lost, nothing. My carry-on, which I always overpack, so like I have an REI backpack that I bring like everywhere with me because I love REI, and it's like a trail backpack pretty much. So like sometimes I had an issue like stuffing my backpack under the seat, but then I took something out and it fit fine. But that's my fault, because like I literally put everything in my backpack, and then I wonder why I have such a bad back half the time. So, but in any case, that's besides the point. Like, I overall had a very positive experience with Southwest, and I would honestly recommend flying with them. Like, at least here in DC, so there's Dulles Airport, there's Reagan, and then if you want to go all the way up to Baltimore, I think there's like another airport up there. But just heading down to Reagan took me like, what, 45 minutes by the metro, maybe even that. It was an easy process getting checked in, and then the flights were great. The seats were great. Oh, one more thing I'll mention as well. So I don't know if y'all have had this, but on other flights, you know how they barely give you snacks? You know what I mean? Like, for example, I was flying JetBlue and all they gave you was like peanuts, right? And like maybe a drink. On the Southwest flights, they gave you 2 snacks, and they were really good. They were like pretzels and then also cookies, I think, of some sort. It was interesting, but they gave you 2. And I noticed that every flight they gave you 2, and I was like, oh, that's rare, because normally they just give you one pair of peanuts and that's it. So that, that's another advantage right there. But in any case, so like the food the snacks were great, the luggage with the 2 pieces being for free, the carry-out or the check-in, sorry, and then what was the other one? The lack of assigned seating. So overall, a positive experience. I would say the pros of flying Southwest are definitely like the snacks they give you, the 2 bags that you can, I always get confused between carry-ons and check-ins. The 2 pieces of luggage that you can check in, which are free, that's a huge plus in my opinion. And yeah, those are like the main pros, I would say. The lack of assigned seating is a hit or miss for me, because I don't know. Call me old-fashioned, but I like having an assigned seat because you can choose those like ahead of time. Like when I flew Eva Air, you could choose like all your seats like ahead of time. Not having an assigned seat gave me like a certain level of anxiety because I was in boarding group C at one point for one of the flights, and while it was only a couple of hours, I have a very particular preference when I fly. I want that aisle seat. I don't want that middle seat. I don't want that window seat. I want that aisle seat because I know for a fact that I get up and walk around. I go to the bathroom all the time. You know what I mean? Like, because you get so thirsty. So it's just like, I want that aisle seat. So, like, when I saw that I was in, like, C, for example, I was just like, dang it. Like, I'm not going to get an aisle seat. So, lo and behold, I was surprised and I actually did get an aisle seat. So it's a hit or miss. And so the way that I'll talk about the way to circumvent that. So obviously, it's like in a video game where go up against a free player versus the, what do they call it? Pay to play type of thing. So for example, if you want to go from C to A to upgrade your boarding priority, you obviously pay it per leg of the flight. So I did that on the way back from California because I was just like, I am not doing that again, and I'm not risking not getting an aisle seat. So I think it was, for the longer flight, it was like $60, I think, in total, maybe 50. I can't remember off the top of my head. It was like 40 to 60 in that range. So do it sparingly if you're on a budget. That's all I can recommend you. But if you don't care, then by all means, like, the lack of assigned seating is a pro for you because you can just board the plane and you just sit down wherever. If you're particular like me, it can be a con if you're not in like A or B, and it also depends on the flight as well. If you're going to like like for example, on the way from LAX to Nashville, it was full, and if I didn't have that like priority A like thing that I paid for, I wouldn't have got the aisle seat. So that's a good way of looking at it. So overall, a very positive experience. I would definitely recommend flying with Southwest, and we'll see if I use them again, maybe for future trips that I have in mind. September is coming up, which is Labor Day. I want to do a trip to upstate New York or somewhere else, but I'll probably take the Amtrak for that. Can definitely do a review on Amtrak and the various, services that they provide, because Amtrak is awesome. Not being able to take the train and just head up to a particular destination is awesome, and sometimes you prefer that to flying, you know what I mean? It just depends on where you're going and the distance. But yeah, overall, I would recommend you fly with Southwest. Try it once, see if you like that. The 2 pieces of luggage that you could junk in for free, that's awesome. The snacks were great. Lack of assigned seating depends on whether or not you want to pay for the boarding group A or B. If you don't care, great. If you do care like I do and you don't want to leave it to the gods or fate or whatever you believe in, then definitely try to maybe boost your ranking, you know what I mean, from like C to A to get that aisle seat. But I'm actually curious. In the comment section below, tell me when you fly what seat you prefer to be or to get. Do you like the aisle seat because you like to get up and walk around like I do? Do you like the middle seat because you can get both armrests? Or do you just like the window seat because you get to kind of look out the window when you're flying? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you later. Follow and like for more. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos. See you around.